A warm welcome to all of you, wherever you may be watching. Good evening. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimbaloe in Abuja. So much to talk about. When you hear Chinese, there are a lot of, virtually everything we use today in Nigeria are Chinese products. Even the United States is Chinese. Most of those things are manufactured in China. And there is growing alliance between Nigeria and China. Rail lines sponsored or being backed by China. Today, the Foreign Affairs Minister of China met with his Nigerian counterpart and also met with Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. Don't forget, a few weeks ago, the President and his crew were in China. There were meetings. Is this a follow-up to that meeting? What exactly is going on? We'd like to dig deeper into what are the benefits of some of these meetings. What does it mean for Nigeria? Maybe Nigeria can then now have some of what we call currency swap. A lot of people have been talking about it. Does it also guarantee us a permanent seat at the Security Council at the United Nations? But exactly, what does this mean for the pocket of you and I? These are some of the issues we'll be dissecting tonight. The man who hosted the meeting where El-Rufai was present, as cause of stir, is with me tonight in the studio. We'll be discussing the real essence of that meeting. But stick around with me. Let's first and foremost check your political roundup stories.
The ambassador. The Imo State government has disclosed plans to engage members of the Nigerian Legion in the protection of national and public assets as a complementary service to other security agencies in Imo State. Governor Uzodimma made this disclosure at the government house in Owerri during the launch of the emblem of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2025. Governor Uzodimma says the government needs the services, expertise, and experience of the veterans in combating issues of vandalism of government and public property.
So it has become necessary that we must engage members of the Legion to help us protect the civil environment, protect public assets.
In Gombe State, Governor Inuayaya has sworn in 5 newly appointed permanent secretaries into the state public service. The event, which took place at the new banquet hall of the Gombe State Government House, also featured special recognition for winners of the recently held National Quranic Recitation Competition. Governor Yaya urged the new permanent secretaries to deploy their skill towards strengthening key transformative policies of his administration. To Rivers State, where the State House of Assembly, led by Martins Amwawele, has overridden 2 bills signed into law by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The lawmakers took the decision during today's plenary in Port Harcourt following a motion moved by Honorable Major Jack, the leader of the House, who reminded the Speaker that the time frame has elapsed as required by law. And barely 37 days to the Katsina local government elections, stakeholders are advising the electorate to contribute their quota towards the successful conduct of the elections. According to them, violence and vote buying or vote selling must be strongly shunned by both the electorate and candidates in order to raise good local government leaders who are closer to the people.
Thank you so much. Then you've been served with your political roundup stories. Now, I will not forget, and that's why lest we forget today is critical. Well, unless we forget today, schools reopen across Nigeria. It is a grim reminder that millions of children will not return to the classroom. According to UNICEF, Nigeria has over 18 million out-of-school children. That's the highest in the world. This alarming figure is not just a statistical anomaly. It is a ticking time bomb for the future of our nation. Lest we forget that the Child Rights Act and the 1999 Constitution guarantee every child the right to education. Yet, some state governments have consistently failed to prioritize this fundamental right. It is unacceptable that in a country with vast resources, children are seen hawking wares and on highways or working in dangerous conditions when they should be learning in safe classrooms. education is not a luxury. It is a lifeline. And the refusal to secure it for every child is nothing short of criminal negligence. The dangers of leaving children out of school are manifold and catastrophic. A child denied education today becomes an adult without opportunities tomorrow, often vulnerable to exploitation or criminality. Lest we forget that the insurgency in the Northeast is a haunting reminder of how uneducated, disillusioned youth can be weaponized by extremist ideologies. Is this the legacy state governments want to leave behind? The time for rhetoric is over. Governors must be held accountable for ensuring that no child is left behind in this new school year. Lest we forget that education is the antidote to poverty, insecurity, and underdevelopment. Let us demand action not as a favor to these children, but as an investment in the stability and prosperity of Nigeria itself. Lest we forget, classrooms, not the streets. Just a reminder to all of us, lest we forget. Now, today, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, met with his Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi, and members of his entourage at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abuja. The meeting aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between Nigeria and China will also help, according to them, to foster cooperation in key areas such as trade and investment, health, technology, and infrastructure development. Take a listen to some of what came out of that meeting. Don't forget that after that meeting, the Chinese FM also met with the President Bola Tinubu at the State House. Take a listen to both foreign affairs ministers.
Nigeria remains committed to the implementation of the agreements and MOUs, and also, of course, to, just like Minister Wang said, to ensure that we expand this upgraded relationship, which is the comprehensive strategic partnership.
Our cooperation is going well in many ways in terms of finance. For instance, we welcome the panda bonds to be issued. We welcome Nigeria to issue panda bonds in China because we have full confidence in Nigeria's credibility.
All right, that meeting held today, but again, the question you'll be asking, China is perhaps Nigeria's largest export partner. China is perhaps one nation, I think the third or so, that we owe the most in the world. It means a lot in terms of our relation. What is the benefit of all of these to us? If our rail lines, part of our airports are being built by China or Chinese, how much of the benefit is it for our country? I'm being joined tonight by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, who is live with us virtually in Abuja. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us tonight. Let me begin by first and foremost establishing, is this a follow-up meeting from the China meeting that you and the President had a few weeks ago?
Thank you, Sharon, for having me, and Happy New Year.
In the year.
You know, the relationship is becoming stronger because of these high-level visits. You will recall maybe that I visited China at some time in June in preparation for a state visit. President Tinubu visited in September, and now Minister Wang Yi, the foreign minister, who is not just the foreign minister, but one of 7 members of the standing committee of the Politburo, the highest decision-making body in China, has visited and has chosen Nigeria to be the first country for him to visit at the beginning of the year. So it is quite significant, and it is these sort of high-level visits that move things forward and that strengthen the relationship between the two countries.
So What can you tell us is the biggest deal that came out of this meeting in terms of the agreement? What would you say is perhaps the low-hanging fruit out of this meeting today, and perhaps the biggest of all of the conversation that would be for the benefit of the Nigerian people?
Well, for one, you have the currency swap, Naira Renminbi, that has been renewed. That is very significant because it allows for us to close up any room for arbitrage in trading with each other, with trading currency to currency instead of going through a third currency. And you will recall that when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over as president, one of the actions he took, of course, was to unify the multiple currency exchange windows that we had, which was providing for a lot of room for arbitrage. So that has been closed up. And not only that, we are even pushing further because our trade volume is, I think, about $23 billion annually. There's more, that goes even undocumented. So the idea is to increase the volume for the swap. At the moment, it's, I think, 15 billion renminbi. We're trying to push it to 100 billion. And then also the usance, so the duration for the swap to be utilized, instead of just 12 months, 1 year, to have it extended to 3 years. So besides that, you also have, of course, several ongoing infrastructure projects. Rail, we're trying to revamp our rail lines, as you know. So there's a firm commitment for Kano, Abuja. Of course, there is Lagos, Ibadan. There's several other projects that are ongoing, rail projects. There's even Kano, Maradi, Niger, incidentally, and also Kano, Jigawa. And that is almost up to 40% completion. Substantial part of the blended financing is coming from China. Sinosure is the export credit agency. That is something that is up for approval in China. We're looking for that. But we're also quite concerned about the trade imbalance, the lopsidedness of it. It's something that we've addressed and we have been pushing, and we have succeeded, for instance, in the removal of tariffs for cashew nuts and shea butter being exported from Nigeria to China. And we're pushing further to say, look, remove tariffs for all other exports from Nigeria, because what China did on the platform of FOCAC, which is the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation, was to remove tariffs for the least developed countries. Nigeria is not considered to be a least developed country in Africa. There are about 33 of them, and we're saying remove all those tariffs for Nigeria so that we can address this issue of the trade imbalance. And not only that, we're also speaking for other African countries. We're saying remove, in fact, what is the big difference between 33 and 55 countries? It's not much. Why don't you remove it for the entire continent? So these are some of the discussions that have been ongoing, apart from collaboration on metals refining. So instead of exporting lithium to China, we're saying refine it here locally. I'm sure you will be aware that there's a Chinese group that invested in metals refining in Nasarawa State, for instance. We want to see more of that. We want to see them utilize our special economic zones to locate their electric vehicle assembling plants here in Nigeria, so that Nigeria can become a hub, since we already even have the lithium that is used for the batteries for the electric vehicles. Let us set up that supply and value chain here, and let us domesticate it.
Now, Minister, I know there are lots to benefit from China, especially when the Chinese today are talking about a global political bullyism and how they will be respectful in terms of foreign relations with other countries. And I'd like to first and foremost confirm with you. I know you've told me on this program that Nigeria seems to be inclined to the membership of BRICS. And China being a major leadership of that group. What is the sentiment? Are those kind of relationship being cemented today as how Nigeria will be officially, formally, and actively be part of the BRICS? Did that also come up as a conversation today?
Yeah, it did. Of course, there's the offer for Nigeria to become a BRICS partner, which is different from being a full-fledged member, but comes, as they say, with all the benefits of membership. So this is something that Nigeria is considering, but of course the decision is up to President Tinubu. President Tinubu, of course, is quite deft at understanding and taking decisions at the right time. He appreciates the intersection of politics and economics. So I'm sure at the right time we will do that. We're also cognizant of the fact that when you say BRICS, you're referring to Brazil, Russia, India, China, and subsequently South Africa. And these are all members of the G20 group. So we're also looking at, of course, joining the G20. We want all those countries to support us. As I would say that all the countries have voiced their support for Nigeria to become a member of the G20. And we have been regular in G20 summits as invited countries, as an invited country. So we're looking at a path where we join G20 since all the members of the key members of the founding members of BRICS are already members of G20. So we can also take the same path, but then we can also consider the offer of being a BRICS partner.
Yeah. So, I mean, there isn't any concrete move as to our permanent membership of BRICS. That is not cemented yet. It's still in progress.
No, that is not cemented yet. This is something that is still being considered. We have to look at all the ramifications and do what is in the best interest of Nigeria. So national interest, lately I've been talking about the Constitution. President swore to uphold the Constitution, as did I, as did all members of a cabinet and the government officials from top to bottom. So national interest is paramount. We have to make sure that when we take decisions, we do it in a timely manner as we get the maximum benefit for Nigeria's national interest.
I hope this time around China is not sitting on the fence on the support for Nigeria to be a permanent member of the Security Council. Are they still sitting on the fence? If they are true friends, they should give us their thumbs up in being a permanent member of the Security Council. Did you push them to get that vote?
We pushed them and they assured us that they're fully behind Nigeria becoming a member. They also assured that they are in support of what is referred to as the Ezulwini consensus, that is saying that Africa should get a minimum of 2 seats in the Security Council of the United Nations, so a permanent seats. So
I know that
we keep saying that we want not just the seats, we want a permanent seat with veto powers. We don't want just a seat, we want a seat with veto powers.
There are those who, some foreign affairs experts who will say, as we are seeking those, we also need to sit up and make ourselves a more world power so that we can not bully our way into, but also make our presence known. But Minister, there are those who are worried about China because China could be very brutal if you are doing business with them. We've seen some countries that are literally having part of their territories taken over by China because they are owing China based on the agreement with some of their infrastructure. A big worry here is a possibility or what has looked like a debt dependency. There are concerns about Nigeria's increasing debt to China. Some of the agreements you have signed today will further deepen our hands into the till of our debt with China. There are those who argue that that relationship is getting us more into trouble. Don't forget, China is very brutal. They are like some of my brothers and sisters in some part of the country. They don't play with their money.
Well, the global system where countries operate is brutal. There's no country that is not brutal when it gets a chance to be brutal. That's the honest to God truth. That is why we keep referring to national interest. You have to clearly identify your national interest and protect it and take decisions at the right time. And you will notice that the agreements that we're even talking about are memoranda of understanding. They are not legally binding in the same manner that concrete agreements are binding. So it is done in stages so that we're very careful. What we need is for the subnational entities, state governments, to also work with the federal government so that we are aware and we work together. We're in tandem when Nigeria is committed to agreements. A large part of the challenges that we've had with agreements in Nigeria have to do with either subnationals committing Nigeria to certain debt obligations, or agreements are not properly. But suffice it to say that compared to other countries, Nigeria is actually quite thorough. Nigeria has the depth because, we have been an oil producing country since 1956, 57, and that inadvertently afforded us the depth in terms of international lawyers, experts, accountants that have worked for world-class accounting firms and other professionals that are good at negotiating. So Nigeria is not a pushover when it comes to international negotiations, and it's not akin to just taking a toy from a child.
All right. So,
we're also brutal when it comes to protecting our national interests, and so it should be.
So, but are you able to resolve also the embarrassment due to the legal logjam, for example, in Ogun State, and some of, those are embarrassing situations where we have Nigerian properties being threatened by some Chinese interests. Did that also come up? Is there a resolution in that respect?
That has come up also, and we've been pursuing a resolution through diplomatic channels. That's why, if you've noticed, the Chinese side has sort of backed down to some degree, stepped off the pressure. But, it's something, of course, that is an ongoing process, and we'll continue to pursue it.
Now, let's look at the issue of the global and geopolitical dynamics of our foreign relations. Now, how does Nigeria's partnership with China fit into the broader geopolitical landscape, especially in our non-alignment foreign policy, especially considering that there are growing tensions, trade tension, political tension between China and some Western powers?
Well, this visit reaffirms what we keep saying, that Nigeria under President Bola Tinubu is pursuing strategic autonomy. We have the right to deal with whoever we want to deal with no inhibitions, based on Nigeria's national interests, based on what is best for Nigeria's national interests. That is why, it's laughable when some people say that Nigeria is being dictated to by some other country, or that we're going into where we're doing some other country's bidding. Recently there was all this talk about France, and you can see China is here. China came.
But that has not been laid to rest, Minister. This government has not been able to properly put in perspective those allegations coming from the military junta in that country. The heavy allegations against this government under this president's leadership about how terrorists have now been used or allegedly being used on our soil. As this government has a concrete answer, is this government working for France against the interests of the Nigerian people?
The government has a concrete answer. I am surprised, in spite of all the media outlets carrying my article that I sat down and wrote and explained this thing. I'm surprised that a whole Shegun has not read it, because I thought you were always on top of your game. You knew everything that was out there.
Maybe it doesn't suffice. That's why I'm asking, Minister. Now that you have the opportunity, Minister, if you can clear the...
I will send it personally, but it is nonsense. How in the world is it going to be possible for Nigeria to become a state sponsor of terrorism? It's an insult. A country, I would like to see those cheerleading for Niger cheerlead for their country for a change. Let us look at what is going on. The reason why we're able to actually even have this discussion and this debate is because we run our system based on a constitution, the constitution that protects our right to criticize government, to speak with freedom of speech, freedom of association. Okay? Where are the citizens in our neighborhood that are under military governments that are able to do that? They can't, because they don't even have a constitution at the moment to protect them. And we're not even saying that they have to have a constitution. They don't. If they don't want to, if they want to run their country with the constitution, so be it.
But Minister, if the government feels this way, have you been able to reach out to that government, that military junta, to caution them of these malady, as you describe it? If that leader is making such a heavy allegation, a leader to leader, has there been a call to that leader to say, no, you cannot say this, and I take an exception to it, as a big nation on the continent, you cannot speak about our government like that? Has there been that kind of engagement? A stern warning to that country to say you cannot make those heavy allegations against our people?
We have done so. We called in the charge d'affaires here in Abuja, in the ministry, and addressed it appropriately. But it's not for President Tinubu to stoop down to start responding to spurious allegations. It's not the way diplomacy works. It's not the way governments and leaders relate to each other. We're not going to go into the gutter, And at the same time, don't forget that we're still trying as much as possible to find diplomatic avenues to resolve these issues. And we consider Niger Republic, we consider Burkina Faso, Mali, our kith and kin. And we want to continue to live in peace and harmony with those countries, with the citizens. This is just transient. This is a period where they're going through a period of military intervention. It's happened to us in the past. I said it on a different program. Someone like me who was born just before Nigeria's civil war started, I spent, I didn't have the right to vote until I was in my 30s. So we know, people from my generation know the benefits of having a constitutional government running your system that way, and we remain committed to that constitution because it's the same constitution that says that Nigeria should, when it goes into treaties with other countries, it should honor those treaty obligations. And one such treaty obligation is that exists with our membership of ECOWAS. The same with these countries. So, it's not that we're just doing things to, but when we start speaking on behalf of Niger and all these other countries, and we're criticizing and denigrating our own country for doing the right thing, I don't think we are being fair to Nigeria. I think if we want to cheerlead for Niger, then we should also look at the ground rules and what exists and what we have committed. This is what our constitution says. Minister, if we want to seek to amend our constitution, then that's a different thing altogether. Minister, but for now, what the constitution says.
Minister, on a final note, and I'll take you back to China. Finally, if you can wrap up on this, there are issues of environmental impact. Many Chinese-backed projects have faced criticism for their environmental, the way they handle environmental impact on their projects here. And there are those who accuse some of the Chinese companies of how they've been able to allegedly manipulate the system to get along, especially in areas like mining. Recently, there were about 130 Chinese allegedly arrested for cyber crime in Abuja. That's in November. In October, about 3 Chinese were arrested for illegal mining. 103, some Chinese were included in about 193 people arrested 3 weeks ago over issues of money laundering and a host of other issues. And I know that these are a huge number of those nationals committing crime in Nigeria. Did that come up today? And how are you dealing with Chinese doing business here and exploiting the Nigerian system?
We're dealing with it by ensuring that we formalize all these activities, we get them to invest, we get them to establish supply chains in, for instance, a special economic zone that already exists. There are rules and regulations. You have government agencies that oversight activities in such special economic zones. Okay, a lot of it, what you're referring to, probably has to do with illegal mining. Nigerians themselves are engaged in illegal mining, so it's not just Chinese and several other nationals. So it doesn't make it right, but we shouldn't single out China to just say that everything they're doing is bad. Suffice it to say that Chinese citizens are doing more good than harm in Nigeria. You can't, they buy the eggs everywhere. It's a country of 1.4 billion people. So they're bound to be bad eggs, same way that we have our own bad eggs. But what they're doing in terms of investing in our economy, in terms of creating jobs, in terms of infrastructure, is something that is exceedingly beneficial to Nigeria in terms of creating jobs for our youthful population.
All right. Honorable Ambassador Rada Yusuf Tuga is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Thank you so much for the insight, and I wish you the very best. Suffice to say that since today you are welcoming your counterpart from China, you should get some sushi and perhaps get some Chinese rice tonight for a delightful dinner. Thank you so much indeed, Honorable Minister, for joining us.
That's Japan. Sushi is Japan, so I'll eat the Chinese rice.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Now let's switch to politics now and some State of the Nation conversation. There is the man who hosted Mr. Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, Segun Showumi of the PDP, Senator Gada, and Major Hamza Al-Mustafa. And that meeting has caused some kind of stir. It's a private meeting at the instance of the leadership of the Social Democratic Party in Abuja. The closed-door meeting took place at the office secretariat, and it sparked a lot of speculations about potential political realignment ahead of the 2023 general elections. Tonight, I have the host of that meeting and the man who set up that meeting, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Party, Alhaji Shehu Gabam, is live with us here in Abuja. So thanks so much indeed for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. What exactly is the agenda? Are you planning some kind of political alliance? Or what exactly is at the back of your mind?
First, Sean, let me thank you on behalf of millions of Nigerians. Your opening remarks of yesterday and today is quite touchy.
Thank you.
You are challenging us as institutions, as human beings, as Nigerians to be committed to our country, to be patriotic to our country. It's not every Nigerian that does what you have done.
Thank you.
A rare gem. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Take it from me, millions of Nigerians. On behalf of SDP, I'm thanking you for reminding us of who we are.
Thank you, Alhaji Gabam. Appreciate it.
Number two, I don't know where the pressing of the red button is coming from politically, simply because we decided to come together and discuss national issues. This is a new year, and we have to review what happened in 2024, the turbulence the nation is going through, and of course, the kind of intimidation and harassment citizens are going through because of expressing their views or disagreement with the policy of government, which I happen to be a victim, and I want to place it on record. Some of my security were withdrawn for no justification, no reason was given.
Since when?
Almost 2-3 weeks ago. I have reached out to the highest authority to know why, because I applied, because I'm entitled to it, it was given, and then there was no letter reaching to me or justification why they were withdrawn. I want to place it on record.
So you see this as some kind of political witch hunt?
Definitely, there's no justification for it.
So you've had a security attachment to you,
yes,
as security cover,
yes,
for your protection,
yes,
as a leader of the national,
yes,
the national chairman of the SDP,
yes,
but they are being withdrawn.
They've been withdrawn.
You think this is because of your voice of dissent, or what exactly?
Naturally, and I'm not a gutted person. I'm not a street person. I use diplomatic language in channeling our ideas or advice to the government. I wasn't designed to be a hostile or a vulgarous person in terms of passing message. I'm a career-trained person in politics. Those who taught me politics included Led Abubakar Rimi, Led Cicero of Ibadan, and then Led Solomon Lar. The host of them that I have met in the course of building a career. And we pick the best out of them. We are trained to be mindful of our language, what we use, and how we communicate through. And we apply through professionally without mixing words. We can disagree with the government, but Nigeria is our country. We must do everything to give or to add value to the government if the government is willing to listen.
Alhaji Gabam, do you have a feeling that this government is hostile to opposition voices?
Well, it's surprising to me because the least person I expect to be hostile to the opposition person is the current president.
Are they hostile in the real sense?
They are hostile. If they are not hostile, look at what happened to Faroti. Because of he raised issues, you can say an elderly man shedding tears, crying. It's quite touchy. But it's unbelievable.
But is it the government that is against Dele Farotimi? I think it's Baba Afe Babalola that took Dele Farotimi.
Look, as citizens, we know how our country is being run. We know the implications and the influence of government in a lot of things that has happened. I've given you my own example. Nobody ever found me in doing anything that is bad or illegal or using foul language on any leader of the country. Because if you use foul language on your leaders, it's going to affect you. You have to pray for your country, you have to pray for your leaders. But you can see what we go through. And throughout, our contribution to this government has been positive. It's on record, and so on and so on. But let me say this. My advice is that the President and Commander-in-Chief, let me remind him, he was elected senator under SDP during the late Abiola SDP era. 2, he went to exile during Abacha's era. He came back and became the governor of Lagos for 8 years. So he's the least person to be expected to allow some surrogate in his government to use instrument of government to be harassing citizens because they express their view. I just had my brother and my friend articulated the position, foreign policy position on Ambassador Tuga very brilliantly. And I had him also saying that it's the right of Nigerians to express themselves. I wish the government will allow that to be strictly adhered to, not to use coercion of states to suppress the voices that are good for the country. So let me not digress from what you have said. The meeting strategically was to review the situation of the country 2024. And SDP, of course, as a party, we are an opposition party. We have elected members in the parliament, in the state assembly, in the local government, in the councillorship. So we owe it a duty as a party to look at areas where things are not going right and also to open the space of the party and reach out to a lot of people. It's the same thing APC did when PDP was misbehaving. They reorganized, they regrouped, and they relaunched a merger that led to defeat of the PDP. So there's nothing wrong, or we are not doing anything that is wrong. And I don't know why they brouhaha about it as if this is the first time Nasser El-Rufai visited or Shegun Shehu being able to be a friend. One of the spokesmen of the PDP. Me and Shegun Shehu have fought internally to restore decency and normalcy in PDP. We could not succeed. So some of us exited. So, and Mustafa has been a friend as well. We've been in this struggle for a better Nigeria, not to undermine Nigeria.
Just give me a moment, because, and I'll ask questions in relation to why people think that, where they steer, why all of the permutations and why people are thinking in the direction, because there are a lot of people who think, yes, you can see the Shehu Gabams of this world having meeting in broad daylight. What about the meetings that you people don't have in broad daylight, the nocturnal meetings? And those are the ones that we need to be worried about. But I mean, is it the worry for the ruling party? Why the opposition forces are joining, are realigning? We'll take a break, everyone. But before we go, what is the quiz today? Let me check your knowledge about Nigerian political history. Today, I'm asking you, which Nigerian leader is credited with declaring the famous war against indiscipline? Who is where are the fastest of the fast fingers here? Is it Olusegun Obasanjo, or B. Muhammad Buhari, C. Ibrahim Babangida, or D. Yakubu Gowon? The Politics Today quiz. Which Nigerian leader is credited with declaring the famous war against indiscipline? We'll find out what the answer is before the end of this program. But we'll go on a break, and when we come back, our conversation with Alhaji Shehu Gabam continues. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. Why the stare? Perhaps if you see a Nasser El-Rufai that seems to have been, is now being torn an outsider on the inside in the APC, might give a clue. You see a Shegun Shehu Major Al Mustafa in an SDP. Perhaps the reason why there are a lot of stare about these possible alliances. And I said earlier, these are the ones that we know. What about the nocturnal, the non-public ones? Alhaji Shehu Gabam was the host of that meeting. Give us an understanding. Are you of the view, because there are those who think that the only way that the current government and the APC, as it currently is right now, can only be defeated or ousted or challenged at the election if there is a very reasonable and powerful political alliance or realignment? Do you think so too?
No, I think the government policies and programs will determine how the election will go. It has nothing to do with personality.
So you do think that President Tinubu still has a good chance of changing the tide? Because there are those who believe that the popularity of the APC has dwindled dramatically and drastically over the last year or so because of some of the policies.
I know that no president that was elected to serve 4 years and had issues in 2 years that survives. Jonathan, opposition started within 2 years, he lost the election. So the president have a team that does assessment of what they are doing so far. I'm sure he has a report. And the president admitted himself that the situation is very bad due to his own policy, his own pronouncements, and so on and so forth. And like I have said, traditionally, it's not just the fault of the president, but when you have cabinet members that have no capacity to drive your policy and solve some of the problems, you cannot drive a nation alone as a president. It's not possible at all.
So you don't think President Tinubu has the right people?
He doesn't have. This is not the first time I'm saying it, and I'm saying as somebody who believed and who saw him and who he knew when he was the governor of Lagos State. I know the kind of team he has, a crack team that have capacity to advise him and generate ideas. And he succeeded, and he's proud always to say that he transformed Lagos State. What is happening today is a rare privilege for somebody of his age to be a president of Nigeria. Because by assumption, somebody of almost 80-something years is not looking for cars to drive. Is not looking for a house to sleep. Is not looking for a precious bed or a special food.
Those who are close to the president said that he said he's not looking for money. He's not looking for wealth.
Exactly.
He wants to build a legacy. He said he wants to be the Lee Kuan Yew of Nigeria. He wants to change Nigeria. He wants to leave a legacy. That those who are close to him will say that. Do you think that is possible?
It's not
is he on the right path to achieving that?
It's not about saying, it's about seeing it on the ground.
So
and this is why we always remind him, Nigeria have never faced the kind of economic hardship in history that we are faced today. Nigeria have never lost their life in a quantum, in history, like they are losing their life today. Nigeria have never gone through cost of foods skyrocketing, uncontrollable, as if we don't have a nation, like today. Nigeria have never gone through a system of lack of deterrence like we have today. At least we have seen Obasanjo's regime. When he came in, the economy was bad, there's insecurity, but he was on top of the issue. When he started in Zaki BM, he crushed it. In Odi, he crushed it, and the nation was stable. Now, what we are saying is that it's a rare privilege, somebody of his age to be a president, which means that his entire life on that seat is to leave a legacy. Nothing more than that. And those legacies are legacies that will speak for him after leaving office. President Yar'Adua have a short time in office. President Yar'Adua said that the process that produces the president is a faulty process, admitting the fact that something is wrong. But this same president knew that he inherited a system that was on its knees, and he campaigned to correct those systems. But the first decision he took is to bring in massive pains on Nigerians by removing subsidy all over. There's no country living on earth that do not apply subsidy on various sectors of the economy, from the education, from health, from infrastructure, virtually every system. All countries on earth apply subsidy on it. In Nigeria, the product that God have given us to enjoy, subsidy was removed. And there is no plan.
Possible policy tariff increase of tariff on telecommunications.
Telecoms, which the president said should be removed, they are still charging it. Even the cyber levy fee that they withdraw, they are still charging. Some of the things that are happening, you keep on wondering that, was it that the president is not aware, or some people behind the scene are acting on behalf of the president and allowing things to happen?
So I mean, and I'm worried that you made this statement because there are a few people that a lot of analysts who have identified. They've identified the likes of Dave Umahi, the likes of Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, the likes of Nyesom Wike, Wale Edun, and a few others in this cabinet that they think, Festus Keyamos of this world, who they think are forward-looking, they are progressive, they are performers. And when you raise a big question mark about the kind of team that the president has, the president cannot succeed, we all know, if he doesn't have the kind of team. So you think that there is a danger in the kind of team that the president has?
The president knows there's a danger, and I'm sure he's planning to make some cabinet reshufflement.
But he's done that. I'm not sure he's done.
I don't think that's the last.
It doesn't look like a president that would be reshuffling cabinet.
The president, even nobody told him, knows that he have people that are incapable being in the position that they are today. And when you are mentioning some of those names, yes, I can give credit to some of the things Wike is doing that are visible. You can see, you can touch. But the Minister of Works at the initial stage, yes, he was on top of the range. There was a hope that a lot of transformation, a lot of road repairs, fly the entire roads. Look at Kaduna, Abuja, Zaria road for over 9 years. It's a shame. President Babangida constructed Walaza road under 20 months. Just rehabilitation of the roads is impossible. Lagos, Ibadan roads for almost 18 years. 18 years. And this is a democratically elected government. Is it not a shame? Is it not a shame? Now, it's not under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu those contracts were given. But he took responsibility from the very day he took out of office to ensure that he fast-tracked the process, transparency of the process, efficiency of the process. This is what we are talking about. You inherited a system that is bad, and you know they are bad, and you say you are going to rejiggle them. What the Nigerians are expecting, President Bola Tinubu, is that he will rejiggle the system. Some of the bad policies of Buhari administration, he will change them. Personally, as an individual, I place a lot of hope on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that he will perform much, much better than President Muhammadu Buhari. And he's somebody that I know, that I respect.
But you don't think that he's doing that?
There is no any sign.
So it doesn't look like there is a transition between Buhari to Tinubu.
I have not seen any transition so
They
far.
look like a Siamese twins.
What is the transition in the CBN? What is the transition in the NNPC? This is the biggest cartel Nigeria have ever had in history that is exploiting Nigeria. What is the transition there? What changes are we having? So tell me specific area where there's a transformation or shift of policy from Buhari's policy to Bola's policy. Virtually everything was inherited. Some of this contract they are talking about from Chinese, it was from Buhari's regime. They just took over, they are modifying some of the areas. It's not as if they initiated the entire process. But 2 years now, by May, he will be 2 years in office. And there is nothing really to showcase. But in 2 years, if you have a committed team, you can do something like a miracle. You can go to just Egypt not too long ago. Go and see the massive transformation that they are doing. So what I'm saying in essence is that we all wish him well. We don't want him to fail. As somebody that have been tested, have been voted for by Nigerians, and what we expected is to build that legitimacy base and then deal with the trust deficit gap that is very, very bad. There is no policy this government will bring Nigeria will accept because of the trust deficit gap. He should deal with that. He should overhaul that. He should show Nigeria that he's a leader, he's an elder, he's a father. He wants the country to move on. But you can't concentrate everything on regional basis to create confusion and chaos and distrust in Nigerians, that you don't believe probably in building a cohesive nation. Your entire appointment is tilted towards one system. It has never happened in history of Nigeria.
Is it the reason why there seems to be a force in the north against this government? There seems to be some political movement in the northern region of the country.
No, where I expected a transition in that regard is Buhari did the same. Majority of his people are from northern Nigeria. But have they helped him to succeed? No, the answer is no. They helped Buhari to fail. So I thought Bola would do a transition from there and build a nation, a collection of best Nigerians in every state of the federation. You have patriotic Nigerians that will help him to succeed.
Let me ask you this critical question. Are you in an agreement or in talks with any major political force ahead of 2027?
Let me remind you, last year, I called a meeting of 9 opposition political parties in SGP. It was on channels as well. It was also addressed a lot of issues. This is not the first time we are doing it. We believe in one Nigeria. Of course, as a party, we are into discussions with a lot of prominent political figures. It's natural. It's within our right as a party to do that. It's also within our right to go for election and win election.
And you are thinking that in 2027 you are planning for a government change through the ballot. Is that what you are planning?
Every political party is planning to win election, including the APC. They are planning to win again.
Not a merger, but an alliance. Is that what you are planning?
No, nobody is talking about merger. It's not the era that we live. Is not an era of merger. It's an era of committed Nigerians that are key, that believe in Nigeria, Nigerian prosperity, and so on and so forth. And by the way, why they dust about Madam El-Rufai? They say it's not of importance, it's not significant, or nothing. So why they worried about El-Rufai? Why they worried about Nasser El-Rufai? Why they worried about Major Mustafa? Why they worried about Shegun Shoumi? If they are nothing, if they are important, why wouldn't their parties or the government give it the relevant role they needed to play and enhance the efficiency of the government? So if you feel these people are useless, they are not important, and it's a slightest move, you get panic and you press a red button, you are consigned. And they are not a threat to the country.
So, but you are serious about the 2027 project?
I am a chairman of Social Democratic Party. My mission is to take over the government democratically.
All right.
That's my mission.
Thank you so much.
And by God's grace, we'll succeed. We are not doing it because we want to bring down the government.
It's not about Bola Tinubu?
No.
Is it?
It's about winning an election.
But Bola Tinubu performs well. Do you still want to remove him from power?
I wish he is performing well. Maybe this issue wouldn't have arisen.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alhaji Shehu Gabam, for your insight tonight. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So the answer to our quiz tonight, which Nigerian leader is credited with declaring the famous war against indiscipline? Well, it's not Olusegun Obasanjo, neither is it Ibrahim Babangida, it's not Yakubu Gowon neither, it is Muhammadu Buhari. Well, not when he was president recently. It was when he was military head of state. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. That's our beat tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm Sean Wakimale. God bless Nigeria.